Today I want to introduce you to the modulus function, which represents the start of the Cambridge 9709 mathematics course. Okay, so today we're going to be going through the modulus function, what it is, how to graph it, and how to solve its equations. So without further ado, let's get into it. Just a side note, sorry for the background noises if there is any. Audio problems will be fixed very soon. So let's get into it. So the modulus function. Okay. So how do we describe the modulus function? Well, the best way to think about the modulus function is that it represents absolute value of a given number slash variable. Okay, so really absolute value of a given value. Let's put number slash variable to try to be specific here. So for example, 4, absolute value of 4 is equal to the absolute value of negative 4. Why? Because we're not concerned with the direction here. We're concerned with what direction, if we're talking in physics terms, for instance, mechanics, the sign usually represents direction. What we're concerned with here is only the magnitude of the value. Okay, so the magnitude of 4 is exactly the same as the magnitude as negative 4. Okay, so we've established that the absolute value of 4 is the same as the absolute value of negative 4, because remember, we're concerned only with the magnitude. We're concerned only with the magnitude. And so, if we write absolute value of x smaller than 2, what we're really saying is that x is a value between negative 2 and 2. Okay, why is that? Well, that's because the absolute value is smaller than 2, then x, the magnitude of x must be smaller than 2. And that only occurs when x as a value is between negative 2 and positive 2. Okay, so if we move on to a slightly more formal definition, the thing is, I don't want to go through super formal definitions with you in this course because oftentimes it's not that helpful. So I've got formal-ish. Let's call it a formal-ish. Okay. Formal-ish definition, because a formal definition isn't going to really help you here. But paraphrase version most likely will make itself more clear to you. So what we can say is f of x, this is the standard modulus function now, so f of x equal to the absolute value of x, aka, choose orange for that one, mod x in other terms. Now this is a bit different from abstract algebra. When I say mod x, what I'm saying is in the absolute term sense. Okay. And so what we can say then is absolute value of x equals x. X is bigger or equal to 0. And the absolute value of x is equal to minus x for x is smaller than 0. Now I want to present a graph to really strike this into your mind. Well, that's a bit of a saying, isn't it? All right, so here I've got two graphs, okay? What I've got here is y is equal to the absolute value of x plus 4, which is represented by the blue. And I've got y is equal to the absolute value of x minus 2, which is represented by the green. So if I go back to notability here, I'll say, okay, cool. I can say this. Okay, so consider we got y is equal to x plus 4 in the blue, and we got y is equal to x minus 2 in the green. Okay, so let's take a look at this now. Okay, so let's focus now. Let's focus our analysis on y equals x plus 4. Now the question is, okay, fine, for y, x plus 4, when does y equal 0? Well, y equals 0, x equals minus 4, as you can see. Okay, minus 4. Okay. X equals 0 at y equals 4. Okay. And you'll notice here that what we can say is for f of x smaller than 0. Okay, so whenever the y value is smaller than 0, it isn't here. When I say f of x, I'm really referring to x plus 4 in this example. Okay, so when for f of x smaller than 0, i.e. x plus 4 smaller than 0, x smaller than negative 4, i.e. when x is smaller than negative 4, okay, which is this bit over here to the left, notice how the graph is slanted, okay? It's the inverse. Sorry, not the inverse, it's reflected over the y-axis. So what can we say here? Well, we can say then, for y, let me just put this over here to avoid confusion. Okay. What we can say here is that for y, for f of x smaller than 0, we can say that the absolute value of f of x is equal to negative f of x. Okay, so what does this imply? This implies that for x plus 4 smaller than 0, just to illustrate one example, we can say that absolute value, let's turn this back now, absolute value of x plus 4 is equal to negative plus 4, okay? But that's only when this condition applies now. Okay, so perhaps I can highlight this altogether. Give it a nice little highlight. Cool. Alright, so here's our highlight, and here's our example.